Well, howdy, folks. It's time for Beyond the Smoke Barbecue Talk. So grab your drink of choice and come gather around the fire as we talk all things Beyond the Smoke. Featuring Pitmaster chats from all your favorite names in barbecue. We chat about competitions, pits, meats, and everything in between. From barbecue to grilling, from trimming to smoking, we got you covered. Got questions? Let us know. We're always happy to hear from you. Thanks for coming, friend. We're glad you're here. Now sit back, relax, and let's talk some barbecue. It's time to go Beyond the Smoke.
We're back.
What's up, boys?
What's up, fellas?
We are back.
Another Monday.
Your lighting makes you look all freshed up there.
Oh.
Sam, what's up with that?
No, far from it, man. Far from it. Girlfriend and my mom been on my ass about getting it trimmed.
Let's see.
Makes me just
What's
want
up,
to go
boys?
longer. Oh, another Monday.
Another Monday?
Yeah, another Monday.
Yeah, how's y'all's weekend?
It's pretty good, man.
Anthony, you had a pretty good weekend, man.
Yeah, I'm fortunate enough to be in a little meat parking lot over there in Fort Stockton, man. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Hell
How
yeah.
many teams showed up there this year?
I think there was only 25 because we barely made it a state. So, but man, it was a pretty stacked field, man.
Yeah, obviously, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
No, you did pretty good.
Yeah, bro, I was fortunate, man. Got out of my chair a few times, so ended up with the fourth overall. So it's not a bad weekend, bro.
Yeah, with the people that they had over there, with the teams they had over there, fourth overall is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you make it last year over there? You were there.
No.
Oh, okay.
Nah. What do you call it? I didn't get the RCP status that Kyle did, but shit, hopefully we did everything right.
You're muffled, dude. Your audio's muffled.
Really? You sound muffled to me.
Yeah. So no, dude. Congratulations, man. Fucking what were your calls out there?
I got second place rib, second place chicken, and sixth place brisket, and 11th and pork.
Hell yeah. Man, that's solid.
Yeah, that pork got you, no?
Yeah, I know what it is. Change the recipe up last minute. So.
Ah.
Yeah. And you, Sam? What's up with you? You been working?
Working, and man, I got to be a passenger princess this weekend. Nah, I ran to Houston with Kyle.
Oh, did you? Oh, yeah. Y'all go over there, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Quick little trip.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It wasn't bad, man. I mean, what was it? 8 hours down and 8 hours back.
Well, it was 10 for me.
So you got the trailer? You got the trailer?
Yeah.
Nice. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. How's it looking? Did you go through it yet or no?
Man, we picked that motherfucker up, drove it straight over
Chase.
to the storage and dropped that motherfucker off and came home.
Nice.
Yep.
How's the AC working there?
It was good.
Donnie?
We didn't run it very long, but the short time we did run it seemed to work pretty good.
Thanks, Donnie.
There's Jen.
What's up, Jan?
What's up, Jen?
Oh,
Well, cool, man. Cool. Yeah, I did a little cooking this weekend. I guess y'all didn't. So, I mean, besides Anthony. If y'all are on the road. So,
Yep.
Hey, bro, it still sound muffled or what?
little bit.
Little bit.
Log out, log back in while I introduce our guest. Okay. I guess he logged out. No, man. Today, go for it, Sam. What are you gonna say?
It's what you told him to do.
I know. Shit, dude. Lance. No, dude. Our guest today, man. I've been following him, since I met him a couple weeks ago, and I met him over there at Vaqueros in Allen, and man, we kicked it off, started talking, and this dude is knowledge, man, barbecue knowledge, and I thought he'd be perfect person for the guests and for the show, and talk to him about the show or whatever, and he said, man, I'll do it. So we're fortunate enough to get him on, and I'm excited about this one, so we'll bring him in. Here's Brendan Lamb. What's up, Brendan?
Hey,
What's up,
what's
Brendan?
going on, man? Hey guys, thanks for having me on. Hey, how's this audio sound now?
No, you're good. You're good. I don't know about Anthony though.
Am I good, guys?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. You're better.
Thanks for
No more
coming on,
potato
bro.
microphone.
Hey, Brendan, thanks for coming on, dude, for sure, man. I know from learning from you what I have learned from you here the past couple weeks is, man, you're a busy dude. You stay busy out there, and I appreciate you taking the time, man, for sure.
Absolutely, man. It's my pleasure to come on. Whenever you came through Allen over to Vaqueros, whenever I was over there with Trey, I'm not there anymore. This short-term thing, I kind of jump from place to place, and they're doing awesome over there. I mean, I don't know if y'all have been in there. Any of you other guys have been in there, but it's the best pit room in the state of Texas. I'll tell you that much right there. It stays 74 degrees at all times. They've got two 1,000-gallon backline smoker offsets in there, and then they've got a 1,000-gallon rotisserie from M&M in there. And no matter what, even if they're all running at all times, you're still at 74 degrees, which I've never been a part of that. I started my career at La Barbecue in Austin, where you got 5 1,000-gallon smokers you're running all at once, and it's 130 degrees inside there.
In Austin.
In Austin, yeah, they got bad out there.
Yeah, no, dude, that place is pretty awesome. I have my brother-in-law lives over there in Allen, and I've been wanting to go for the longest time, and I was like, man, this is the perfect time to go. So that's when I went over there, and we kicked it off pretty cool, man. Those pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was a good day. It was a good day.
Enjoyed my trip over there. It wasn't packed. I mean, it kind of got a little busy towards the end, but I got in there perfect timing and was able to get the tour and everything. So that was awesome.
Yeah, you got there at the perfect time. They stay pretty busy consistently, and he's open 7 days a week, and until 9 p.m. every day, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. Sorry, guys, if I'm wrong on that, I forget. But yeah, to stay open that long and have fresh barbecue all day, it's quite an operation.
Yeah. How many briskets y'all pushing there? Were you doing a per shift over there?
Depends on the day. Depends on the day. During the week when you're there, we were probably doing 15 to 20.
Okay.
And then on the weekends, it goes up closer to 45 to 50, 55. And then there's a bunch of different things that they're doing too with the Suadero.
Yeah.
So a lot of that normal, if you're just like normal barbecue business that would be coming in just for brisket and just, for something like that, it gets eaten up by some of the traditional Mexican, kind of items they have over there. But I'm telling you, there's not one better. They got, they're going to get talked about in Texas mostly twice. Best tacos and up there for some of the best barbecue. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. No, that location is awesome, man. That's just a badass location. Right there on Waters Creek and right there on the corner. I mean, everybody that goes into that little shopping center sees, first thing they see is that big mural, Vaqueros mural, and it's pretty sweet, man. Pretty awesome.
It is, yeah. I'm sure. I told him to watch. Maybe he's watching. If you're watching, Trey, your spot is awesome. I was supposed to go do the Troubadour Festival with him down in College Station this coming weekend.
Okay.
So I'll be slinging up whatever he's doing. I'll just put an apron on and help him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit, Brendan, about how you got into this whole barbecue thing, because you're everywhere. Like if you Google your name, you're gonna be everywhere, right? So
yeah, I've just done a bunch of stuff. What they always say is put a bunch of irons in the fire and see what one gets brighter and kind of baby that one a little bit. So I've been kind of fortunate to where each one of the careers I've done, they've all kind of been focused around like being a people person, and me starting my career in the restaurant business is like a somebody that was a greeter, like a host or a bus boy or a food runner, somebody like it really sharpened my skills on being like a people person. So that translated really good over whenever I got out of football at North Texas and ended up going to Los Angeles. It turned into a really cool thing to where I really got to learn a bunch about, being in front of the camera, behind the camera, how the whole process works. Gained some, knowledge through all that, and then, ended up, and I can tell you how I got back in Texas, what like made me get back, which was crazy, because I'd probably still be in Los Angeles if it wouldn't have happened. So we'll go right there. But it started as soon as I got back back to Texas. My stepmom had grown up with Leanne Mueller, which is the owner of La Barbecue, which she just passed away last year. But they were supposed to be opening up a location in Los Angeles. So whenever I came back, they said, "Hey, why don't you come train up in Austin? We'll train you for 3 months or so, and then you can go and open the one in Los Angeles." And that 3 months turned into 4 years. So there's it was Los Angeles. Now there's all sorts of great barbecue out there that allow you to do it the way we wanted to do it. But they wanted us to have rotisseries. We couldn't use offset smokers. The offset smokers couldn't be outside. They had to be inside with $1 million.
Yeah.
Y'all know, yeah. So we didn't it never happened, and that's whenever I left. But what brought me back from Los Angeles from doing so when I was out there, I worked as an actor, a model. I worked as a production assistant, a second AD, so second assistant director, and I got into casting as well, to where I was doing casting for Disney for a couple of their shows. And I'd do like the first couple rounds of casting. Then I'd pick my favorite 50 guys or 50 kids or whatever it was, and I'd send them up to the next people up, and they would, go through them and make it to be the final. And then I started writing, so I wrote some movies with some people that write movies. Got into the Writers Guild and sold 2 of our scripts that we wrote to some production companies that they ended up not even making the movies. But we sold the scripts, and it was pretty cool that happened. Yeah. So, and I would, it was cool. Like I was moving and shaking. I worked for High Times magazine when I was out there for a while. I helped them put together the Cannabis Cup over in San Bernardino, and the one that they did out. Yeah, I worked there for 3.5 years while I worked at Stars, and all during that time, I was working at a little not barbecue restaurant, like a little live fire, fresh Mexicali kind of restaurant, you know, a bunch of fresh fish and cool stuff right there. And I was working there the whole time. So it's still kept in food during all that. And I was bartending and bouncing in West Hollywood, which I don't know if y'all know anything about Hollywood or Los Angeles or like the different areas, but West Hollywood's like Rainbow Town. And so that was it was where I could make the most amount of money. And I'd go and I'd be a bouncer and security at the clubs and stuff at nighttime. And then they would let me during the daytime and then eventually nighttime do like bartending shifts. And it was a lot, but this is important for the story on how I ended up back in Texas. Coming home from a late night shift one night, Los Angeles, I drove a motorcycle. So I'm coming over the hill. I've done this drive 100 times. It's 3 a.m. There's nobody on the road. I'm going through red lights. I'm on my Ducati, just blowing through red lights. And I get pulled over right in front of my apartment complex. And they, come out being crazy, and they said, "Hey, you have a warrant in Texas." And I was like, "Well, what?
Oh shit!
For what?" Because in 2010, after I did that Ginger Dead Man movie we were talking about a little bit ago, I came back to Denton, Texas, which is where I went to college. And at the bars I was working at, they threw a big party for like Brendan made a movie in Hollywood party. And my designated driver got hammered. Thanks, Jeff Byram. Shout out. So we went to go stay at his house, and I got pulled over right around the corner from his house and ended up going to jail that night. I was already living in Los Angeles, so they let me do like a mail-in probation and community service and stuff in Los Angeles. So I finished all that stuff up. 4 years later, 4.5 years later, I get pulled over coming home from the bar. They tell me that I've got to go to jail for 180 days in LA County, and then they're going to extradite me to Texas. And I was like, wait, what? Guys, I don't have any kind of criminal record. This is crazy. So I showed them an email saying that I completed probation. I was like, look, I've got an email saying I've completed it. So go back to Texas, get it taken care of. And Denton County, turn myself in. Judge slams down 60 days in jail. You're going 60 days. I was like, what, man, what you talking about? This is crazy. Yeah, 60 days in jail. And I was like, okay. So, and it was on a technicality. I violated my probation by taking a DUI class in California instead of a DWI class because they don't have DWIs in California.
Man.
So, and I didn't know it, and my probation officer didn't know it, but the judge didn't care. So, that's what happened there. So I went to jail, and then whenever I got out of jail, I was going to go back to Los Angeles, and my mom was like, wait. My wife, my stepmom, so my mom and my stepmom, your stepmom grew up with Leanne Mueller at the most famous barbecue restaurant, in Austin besides Franklin's right now, and you should go and work there. And so I started cutting onions and worked my way up to running the pits. And then it really came off there. Got on Food Network a couple of times because of them, because it was La Barbecue, and started rubbing elbows with all the big food people out in the world. And whenever I decided to go off and do my own thing, I had a lot of support from all of these people that I'd met through La Barbecue.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And then
Awesome.
Smileys and all that went on. But yeah, it was a wild story on how it all happened.
Yeah. So how long were you at La Barbecue doing that?
3.5 years, like the end of 2015 till nearly 2018.
Okay.
Mid 2018. But yeah, I started out there, and it was S.L. Ramos for 2M Smokehouse had just left Dylan Taylor to be the head pitmaster, and he's the guy that helped start Goldie's with all those guys.
Yeah.
And S.L. James Beard nominated a couple times now with 2M Smokehouse. Still my favorite rib. Yeah, man. But they were all really instrumental in teaching me and helping me along the way, teaching me how to do it. And finally, whenever I took it over for myself at La Barbecue, it was crazy. I messed up 100 briskets like 3 days in a row. And they were like, hey, if you don't get this shit straight, you're done. And I ended up getting it straight the next week.
Yeah,
Brendan
so
needs his turtle box discount.
He's that turtle box, man. I'm telling you.
Shameless plug. These guys are great. They've treated me real well. They've invited me to a bunch of different events to help to cook and stuff. We'd go hunting. Me and some of the marketing guys go hunting together each year.
Oh wow,
they're just a great company.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot about it. So, what? So you said about 2015 you were over there, right? In La Barbecue.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it already? Was the scene already exploding back then with the whole Aaron Franklin stuff, or was it before all that?
Yeah, Franklin was already popping, and
Okay.
La Barbecue was the second one that was like popping. So the way it kind of started with there's a lot of like interbreeding in barbecue, especially in the Central Texas and the
Yeah.
restaurant world. So John Lewis, who helped start La Barbecue, teamed up with Leanne Mueller. He was the first pitmaster with Aaron Franklin whenever he started getting big. So
Mhm.
Aaron Franklin and John Lewis were Franklin Barbecue. Obviously Aaron Franklin owns a place; it's his name, and
Mhm.
John Lewis was getting all these lines, and he was like, "Look, I can do this too." So he teamed up with Leanne after she had kicked her brother out for John Mueller Meat Co., and they reopened as La Barbecue, and immediately, you know, sell out every single day, no matter what. Opens at 11, sells out by 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. No matter if you cook 20 briskets or you cook 120 briskets, it's still sold out every single day. I've got so many pictures in my phone of just the line wrapped around the block.
Wow.
We would be the overflow line from Franklin's.
Wow.
So that was the same time that Friedman's was still around, and that's where like Evan Leroy was at, and a couple of these other guys that were at Goldie's were over there, and some of them were at La Barbecue, some of them were over at Style Switch. Uh, some of the guys were over at like Cade Mercer, to him or for CM Smokehouse. He got that awesome couple shout outs from on his Joe Rogan podcast. But he was at this bar, I forget what it's called, just right down the street from us, and he had these brisket tater tots that he served, and I got some every single time I got off work at La Barbecue. I'd go down there and get brisket tater tots from Cade Mercer. But yeah, there wasn't a whole big scene yet. It was just starting to happen. It was, Franklin's made it popular, made it a cool thing to where it wasn't just barbecue anymore. And it wasn't. So there was that definitive line, right, between traditional Texas barbecue, which, you know, for all intents and purposes, a baked potato with chopped brisket and a bunch of sauce on it. That's kind of like what I grew up on as a Texan, for barbecue, that and chopped sandwiches. And then you had that definitive line between them and then the professionals that did like what y'all do, the competition stuff. And that was like there's a definitive line between the two to where they were separate things, but still like had the Texas roots. And then you had these guys like Aaron Franklin, these hipsters, these like chef guys, the chef driven dudes that came in and started like dabbling in barbecue and finding a new way to cook it instead of, 20 hours at 200 degrees. Now you
Right,
get them done
Right.
at, 250, 275, even in some cases 325. They're finishing off these briskets. And that was like unheard of like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's right when I jumped in is when that was happening. And really I owe all of it to La Barbecue. Any kind of notoriety I have now is from all of that. They're a big deal.
Yeah. No, for definitely are.
So,
I mean, the first year there, they had us feeding like Justin Timberlake and Adele and Snoop and Warren G and all these big names were coming through, and that because Leanne was a famous photographer too.
Okay.
So she did all the cover photography for for Texas Monthly for all the food stuff, and she did a bunch of like the album packaging for Jay-Z, Beyonce, and a bunch of stuff for Rolling Stone magazine for like their centerfold editorial pieces. So she had like connections with all these celebrities, and they would come by willy-nilly.
Nice. I
that
tell you,
is badass.
I can imagine how busy y'all were doing South by Southwest over there, man. That's got to be crazy.
647 briskets I trimmed by myself in one.
Ah,
Holy
damn.
shit!
Damn, bro.
Yeah.
I'd be in the hospital after that.
I ended up getting, you can look back on my Instagram, there's a picture of me with no shirt on, and I've got a pistol sticking out of my pants because the part we were in East Austin was like a rough area. And then I've got like these braces on my hands on both my wrists because I got carpal tunnel from trimming too many brisket.
Damn.
Was it King on Barbecue? Manuel had a question. He said, what are your thoughts on Burnt Bean Company?
Man, if they don't get number one on this next list, it's going to be a travesty. Like Ernest Civentez is one of those guys out there. And between him and there's guys that I'm not going to be mentioning here, and not for any reason other than I just can't think of it. But like some of the top guys, like I mentioned already, which is S.L. Ramos and those guys at 2M and Blue Lacy over there. And then you've also got Ernest Civentez, which is insane with his food.
Yeah.
You got Aura over at Harlem Road
Yeah.
Barbecue, which is
Yeah. Harlem
he's
Road.
yeah, absolute badass. So this, and then you've got Evan Leroy and those guys over there, and then KG Barbecues. Like so, the top 10 for this Texas Monthly thing coming out soon is going to be insane. It's going to be a lot of shaking up, and I think that like Ernest and them are they're top one or two. They've got to be. Yeah.
Oh,
Have y'all had his food? Have y'all been out there again?
I've never been out there. I know these
Yeah.
guys have been out there. So
oh,
I've only had what
It-
he served at the CBA contest, and that was
okay.
Right. His pork chop. Oh,
them pork chops. Damn.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't even know if that was the one that he does at his restaurant either.
I eat
I
a
don't know
lot.
either, but it was good.
I eat a lot of the Texas barbecue, and I think I've only got two of them that I haven't hit in the top 10 yet, and I think that's Snow's and Goldie's. And I've really fallen in love with barbecue that's not necessarily old school. You know what I mean? Like Leroy and Lewis
Right.
is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, barbecue places I've come across in Texas. Them and Burnt Bean. I just like when people just mix it up with different things. What's
Yeah,
your take on new school versus old school?
Oh man, the new school is the way to go. There's nothing wrong with the old school, and that's the way that a lot of places here in America still are. You know, brisket didn't even come on the menu even in Texas, and we're the kings of all things brisket. It didn't even come on the menu inside restaurants until like the early 1950s. So you think that you think it was way back in the days, and it wasn't. So I mean, as old school as you want to say, that's just the 50s where we were starting to figure out how to do brisket, and that was something that we latched onto here in Texas. But the old school barbecue is really the thing that still has the stranglehold on major portions of America, even Texas and the small cities. But you've got all these folks that are popping up in the small towns. You said I see Brantley Creek on there, and that's like he's one of those guys that's bringing it up over in those areas where it was like a food desert before, right? So
Yeah.
it's I mean, the new school is just taking what was kind of in the old school. Is not everybody liked barbecue. There's a lot of people who'd be like, oh, it's dry, or oh, it's too the fat's nasty, or oh, I don't like to have to drown it in sauce or whatever. This corrected those things. This renaissance in barbecue really kind of corrected all of the things that were wrong with the over smoked barbecue that you're burping up for the next 2 days after you eat it. Leaving it in the smoker, and with a cleaner smoke and a little bit hotter temperature kind of eliminates that, but you still get your smoke ring, which for some reasons is indicative of a good brisket, but it doesn't change the flavor profile or anything of it.
Right.
But everybody's talking about a smoke ring all the time, but that's not what people in the industry are looking for anymore as far as like the restaurants and stuff go. So yeah, new school all the way. It's changed for the better. There's so many different people that I've given a slice of fatty brisket to, of moist off the point, just that number 4 middle slice that before they were like, no, I want lean because of how nasty the fat is. Be like, well, it's because you grew up having it unrendered, untrimmed, nasty bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's just so
right.
it was a renaissance, and it was for the better. And I like to say brisket has peaked as far as like the tradition, like salt pepper briskets have peaked. Now people are going to start getting into smoking them, and now the pastrami thing's taken off, and you can't just put a good brisket and be a top barbecue restaurant anymore like you had to back whenever we first started this conversation with Aaron Franklin. You have one of the best briskets in the world. Now everybody is caught up.
Yep, there's another one right down the road, Manuel Chingon or Rahino's in Olton. They got some damn good barbecue too.
Oh, he knows, man. Those guys are killing it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandma was born in Olton, Lamb County.
Good old Lamb County.
Yeah.
Dang, man.
I took Sam to some old school barbecue this weekend. We went down and ate at Cooper's in Lano. I don't know if you tried
See,
that
that's the
place
good
out.
one. That's the good one, though. You go to any of the Coopers, there's one of the stockyards, and I'm sorry, guys, I've got some friends that have worked there, and I think it's trash. It's just old school barbecues compared to what you're out. When somebody comes to visit you in town and they're like, hey, I want to go get some good barbecue. You don't take them to Cooper's in the stockyards in Fort Worth. If they have heard about Cooper's over and over and they really want to do Cooper's, you take them to Lano.
Yeah.
You're right on that one. It still does the old school, but they're good. They've got, they're cooking a little bit hotter. They're not doing it like they used to try and keep up with all the new guys.
I was lost as hell when I went in there. Kyle didn't tell me what to expect. He just got his tray and took off inside. So I'm standing there like an idiot at the pit. Where the hell do I go now?
Yeah.
What do
I
you
told the
think,
guy, I said,
Sam?
I just want, man, it was good.
Yeah.
I got the brisket and a half chicken. Man,
Yeah, it's hard to find a place that does a good chicken now if they're just smoking it and they're not frying it afterwards.
yeah. And, especially sitting there watching it, it's just keeping warm on that open pit or whatever. But,
Right. Just
man,
getting rubbery.
it was a good chicken. I enjoyed it.
That's
And the
nice. Was it
cornbread.
a half chicken or was it a quarter? Like a
Half chicken.
yeah, sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, they were like the little, like almost probably like a Cornish game hen. Just probably
that's
little
one thing that like the
2-pound
new
chicken,
school
3-pound
places
chicken.
don't do as good. Yeah, who was that earlier? I forgot what one of y'all said that y'all hadn't been to Snows yet. Snows or Goldies? Was that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kyle.
Dude, Snows is crazy as far as like you're expecting this. They get you know, top 10 in Texas Monthly all the time, but they're an old school barbecue restaurant. They do it a little bit Czech German style and do it a little bit newer as far as like what we were used to growing up. That would have been top tier craft barbecue growing up, but they still do the old school like they go thick pork chop. They still do those steaks on like over those old all those old pits, the direct heat. They don't do that much in Texas anymore.
No. No, I took him. I had to take him by Storms too when we went to burn it. He never been to a Storms before.
I haven't been there. I've heard about it.
It was good
Oh
burger.
man, you gotta try it out.
Sweet. Yeah, I love a good burger. Smash burger. Big O.
Yep.
Oh yeah. So what? How do you compare a rotisserie to a offset? I know rotisseries have taken off and got real popular, especially with M&M doing their thing, right? But
Yeah.
how do you compare those, especially those backlines? Those backlines we're cooking on were badass, dude.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I mean, the offset smoker game is really, you get the purist that talk about, hey, I'm doing this. Everything is old school. I'm controlling every single element of this down to like the moisture content of the sticks that I'm putting inside here. I'm controlling the airflow out of the stack. I'm controlling the airflow into the box. And that's you get the guys that are, whenever they want to have their custom knife made, they want to watch the guy hand beat it out and layer the steel. That's the kind of the craftsman you're working with whenever you see somebody that's saying that an offset smoker is the way to go. And for some proteins, it is. But whenever you start doing stuff at scale, and you need a lot of briskets, and you can't sit there and talk, or you need a lot of food, and you can't sit there and justify paying somebody to sit and babysit a fire overnight for $20-$30 an hour over and over 7 days a week. Those rotisseries really come in good. And all the guys that were like myself, the purist, whenever I was using all the offsets, I didn't want to touch a rotisserie because it's an easy bake oven. It's it's taking out the fun of the process. It's doing all that stuff. But now M&M has come on the scene, and they've changed the way that kind of the thermodynamics work inside those things, and the way that the smoke circulates through those things are pretty incredible. And you can get an extremely good product off of them compared to like what a J&R a couple years ago might be something that is frowned upon inside this craft barbecue world.
Yeah.
So, man, there's like you can't. People argue with me all day, and that's fine. Everybody has their own preference, but a rotisserie, you're not going to get as good as a bark and a rendering of the fats and all that as you would an offset smoker on a full pack of brisket. And it's just the way that the constant air blowing over it. It's the best thing you can use to cook a full pack of brisket. You can get it done in a rotisserie, you can get it done in a pellet smoke, you can get it done in all these, but you're giving up part of the lean, you're giving up some of the point, you're giving up something. It's not as even. And the M&M gets it absolutely the closest. I worked on those whenever I was with Hurtado. Now with J&R, I've been out there to their factory at Tool, their shop there in Tool, Texas, where they build the J&Rs. They have a really superior product, and it's like where you see people like Blitzo and some of these guys jumping on some of the big old heads in barbecue, Mo Kason and all these guys. They've all got them at their restaurants now. Even Goldie's, which they were the guys that were just like me, were the most hipster about it, where you've got to do everything, the hardest way possible with the most waste. You know, you just start owning a restaurant and start learning how to do it, and you've got to find ways to make it make sense whenever there's not a whole lot of money in barbecues to begin with.
That's funny you brought that up. I was going to ask you, is it hard to make money in barbecue restaurants?
It is, because the meat. So we're talking about brisket. Let's just take that for instance, and y'all know this, and it's something that's easy for your audience to relate to as well. So you say you buy a good round number on a brisket, a 14-pound, prime brisket from Sam's Club or something. You grab your 14-pound brisket, and the way that we're trimming it up for, say, a craft barbecue restaurant is a pretty aggressive trim. It's not as aggressive as maybe like a competition trim, but it's aggressive enough to where we know that we can take any of those parts of the flat off that are going to curl up whenever we're cooking at those high heats. So you're going to lose bark inside that little bowl. You're going to, you'll be able to be a lot more liberal with the way that you trim your briskets, because we're making sausage out of it, because we're doing all that. So because we're being as aggressive on that trim, you're losing up to normally about 50% of the weight of that brisket. So you're buying that 14-pound brisket at $6 a pop before you even put smoke to it or any seasoning to it, or even you've already put money into it with labor. You cut it down, and so you've lost 50% from nearly just the trim. Normally it's about 30% from the trim, and then you'll start to throw smoke on it, and it shrinks down even more. But when it's all said and done, you can maybe expect to get 6 pounds out of that brisket.
Yeah.
So now you understand why people are charging $30 a pound, $36 a pound for brisket, because they're getting the highest quality meat they can possibly get. And the places that they're actually making their money is they're making their money on their drinks, their sides, their big caterings. But just selling pounds of brisket and stuff like that, you don't get to make money. So that's why you got people that are going to succeed, that are like Vaqueros Barbecue and some of these new school places that are doing smash, like Redbird's Barbecue down there in Port Neches. They had a bunch of beef left over from the brisket. They were doing a lot of brisket, having a lot of trim, and so they opened up an extra day of the week and started doing smash burger days, and now they have a line just as long in their smash burger days as the rest of it. So that's the way to, like, you make up your money that you've lost on $45 that cost every single time to run one of those pits for a full brisket cook. As far as the fuel goes, you've got 10 hours in for somebody who's getting paid $30 an hour, $30 an hour. You've got for 25 briskets or so, you've got all that pepper, all that salt, all that everything you put on it. It turns into where you're not making any money on any of those things. So that might be what brings them in there, but now you've got to find an inventive way to make the customer want to buy your other products that have a better margin. And it's like the time I do these consultings all over the world, and it's the same thing that everybody wants to operate it like a regular Texas Roadhouse bar, like any kind of restaurant, and try and find this margin of under 30%. And you can do that if you take brisket out, but you're not going to be a barbecue restaurant in Texas without a good brisket. And then you've got all these people that want to differentiate themselves instead of just going to buy, one of the things from like Cisco. Your side items. You want to have good side items. You can't just have run-of-the-mill stuff that you're buying big tubs from Walmart and putting paprika in it and then calling it your own. So to differentiate, and that's what a lot of the side of the road guys, the gas station guys do. So to differentiate yourself, you're spending a whole prep day prepping potatoes and putting the whole potato salad together and doing all this. Now that's labor again, and
for sure.
depending on how many people you have working, it can turn into a real big issue all at once. So it's hard to find a way to make the money. There's different little nuances to do. If you're going to serve meat first, you're going to serve sides first, which there's a cool kind of psychology in that too, and like the way that the lines work. You can sell your sides first, like Terry Black's does. They sell all their sides first. When you go in there and you go through the line, you think about it. Normal a barbecue restaurant, you walk up to the block and you figure out what meat you're going to get. Terry Black's, you're going to get sides first, because you're going to go through and you're like, oh, I want to try the green beans. Oh, let me try the elotes. Oh, let me try. You get a little bit of everything, and then you're going to go, and you're not going to sacrifice the amount of meat you got. You're going to still get the same amount of meat, that 2 pounds you came for. You're going to still get that whatever you came for, but flip it now and get your meat first, and now people start sacrificing sides. So now you can make up your money and make a lot of money on sides doing all that.
Yeah, that makes
There's
sense.
a bunch of different ways to do it. But yeah, it's hard to make money, to answer your question. I don't have a restaurant anymore. I was that guy to where I ran Smiley's for 4 years and it was awesome. It was a lot of fun, but like I'm not the business guy. I'm the and it was during the COVID. There was a bunch of different things. I didn't fight hard enough. But
Yeah.
it opened up the door for all this media stuff and travel in the world, getting brought out to Norway by the royal family of Norway to go teach classes out there. It's just a
That's
bunch of
awesome.
cool. Yeah.
That's freaking awesome.
Well, y'all
Classes in
been putting
Japan.
on y'all been doing good over there in North Texas, man. There's a lot of really great barbecue joints going up, Zavala's, and I mean, there's a lot of great places going up in North Texas. They're putting they're giving Austin a run for its money, man.
Yeah. For the longest time, whenever I was down in Austin, it's the mecca of Texas barbecue is Austin. That people were flying in from Singapore, from Russia, from all the places because they want to come and get some of that, 9 good places that they've read about over and over in the New York Times or Food Network or whatever. And now there's 10 or 12 places in North Texas that knock those other guys off the list. And then there's also about the same amount of people in Houston that knocked the old guard off the list. And you've got some San Antonio people that are popping up. And then now,
Yeah.
I mean, Evie Mays has been there this whole time. Pitforks, the Smoke Rings, they've been there this whole time. But some of these other places are starting to pop up that are putting any of these places to shame that you go to. And so now forget about the line in Austin. Let's go do a 2-day crawl out in the Panhandle and in West Texas, and you can get just as good barbecue out there and not have to wait in line and now get the real feeling of Texas instead of this Austin bougie weirdness.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, Sam's in hotel.
Yep. Big city of Dumas again.
Good old Dumas.
I don't even know if there's barbecue up here anymore.
Bunch of rigging catering places, I'm sure.
Man, I haven't really seen hardly any barbecue. There was a place out here at the airport in Dumas. They were open for the first, I think 3-4 years we were up here, and they were pretty good. And then after they shut down, it's just been nothing.
That's
Yeah, I
not
don't know if
true,
there's
boy. You
any.
got that Bucky's up there pretty close by, right?
Hey, that pulled pork
That's
sandwich
right.
from Bucky's all day.
Talk about the. I know we talked about it over there at the restaurant, but the red tape that the government's putting up on these restaurants, and as far as how they're managing their the smoke and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. So man, the
Permits
first kind of
and-
instance was that it's really weird that that's happening in Texas, right?
Yeah.
Because you would think that the people that we've elected into these positions are our peers, and they would understand that a smoke coming out of a smokestack is that same smoke that's coming out of your damn chimney whenever it's cold outside. It's just wood. It's wood. So for some reason, people have gotten in it their head. They get a little bit of power. They get on some kind of city council or something, and they start saying that we need to put on smoke scrubbers and stuff. There's big old elaborate systems that scrub the smoke before it goes out into the earth and ruins the earth. So the first one of that was at Terry Black's over in Austin and Barton Creek. One of the city council members had moved in from somewhere else and was there for a couple years, and the smoke coming out of the smokestacks inside of that Terry Black's location was going straight onto that hill, straight into that offensive smoke was going in and making the allergies go crazy and all this. So they made the state of Texas, forced Terry Black's to put a very expensive smoke scrubbing system on top of their smokers, which really messes with the airflow of something that's as
Right.
primitive as an offset smoker. So they've had to figure out the way to tune the air to go through it, that it's going to pull the right amount of air to make it as natural as possible. And they figured it out. Hadn't seen anybody else that really had to do that. There's probably a couple folks that I'm missing that I wasn't close with, but then you got Allen, the city of Allen, that gave Vaqueros a whole lot of issues over that too, about saying, here's your smokers. Okay, now you're going to have you're telling me the fire's going to go straight from here across the meat and then out into our community? You're not going to clean the smoke before it goes in there? We don't want our whole town of Waters Creek smelling like barbecue in Texas. It's wild. So
Yeah,
they
yeah.
made him put a smoke scrubber on top of his smoke on top of there. So the way it works is there's like a vent hood that goes maybe this high over the smokestack, and there's a fan that's inside of it on top of the roof that pulls the air through the smoker now, instead of just having the winds blow over it. And then that smoke goes into this big chamber, and then this water kind of like water falls down, and the smoke leaks out through the water, and that means that it's clean, and then it can go out into the atmosphere. So yeah, it doesn't make a whole
So,
lot of
Basically
sense.
like a scrubber. Yeah.
so like a barbecue bong. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. No, it is. It's a barbecue gravity bong, is what it is. That's fucking funny as shit.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
But that was the whole reason that whenever I was at La Barbecue, we didn't get to go to Los Angeles because they kept on telling us that we had to figure out a way to make this operation cleaner, to where we were going to have to put our offset smokers over a grease trap. Like there's even times, okay, so at my restaurant in Roanoke, they wouldn't let us put the smoke house that we built touching the building, so we had to put it 10 inches away minimum or something, which is normal fire code, fine, cool. But it's 1,000 gallon offset smoke in there that just has wood as the burn. It burnt, and it's completely encased in concrete where my firebox is. Nothing could happen there. They made me put a water fire suppression system inside there in case there was a fire. The only fire that's going to happen is a grease fire. And this was the city, the city fire officials that are telling me this.
Nice. So
And yeah,
water.
same. Yeah, I was like, you don't want an explosion. You want me to die if that happens. Okay, instead of just
Yeah,
letting
no
this thing
shit.
burn down
They
next to a
come
metal
down to
building.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're trying to overregulate things, and they're getting in their own way, and they're deterring a lot of good barbecue from happening in some of these big cities.
Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of that here, actually, in the city of Odessa. Believe it or not, the regulations and the permits are just ridiculous. I've been talking to some business owners who run their businesses, and they say they don't do business in Odessa. That's because of that reason. So I don't know what it is about the leaders of the city, but everybody wants to put everybody down, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the old guard wanting to keep control of everything that they have control of, and
Yeah.
Odessa, y'all know that the U-Haul been there for a long time. I grew up out there too, so like those people that have stayed in power out there are going to stay in power by all means necessary. West Texas is one of the most corrupt places in Texas as far as the politics go. Dallas is second, but West Texas, a lot of those folks, there's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on out there with the oil money and with the bankers that live out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great, and you wouldn't expect something like that in Odessa.
Exactly, and that's why. But
Champion
Midland's
for
a
small
totally,
business.
Midland's a totally different, atmosphere when it comes to that. They're more open to, everybody, getting a piece of the pot, I guess, if we want to say it. So
There's plenty of business to go around for everybody, and the more businesses that you have that are different and diverse and that are of the high quality that they'd be bringing in, or the more tourists and stuff you're going to bring into your area, and the more money you're going to bring into the community. It's ass backwards. Who's that? Twisted D Cougars talking about Beaumont. Have y'all been to 1701 barbecue in Beaumont?
Oh,
No.
Those guys put out the best damn Texas smoked brisket boudin. It's so damn good. It's damn good.
yeah. Well, we haven't talked about it yet, but let's talk about the barbecue brawl, man.
Bobby Flay.
Yeah, Bobby Flay, Team Bobby Flay over here, right?
Yeah.
How was that?
Yeah.
How working with him? Did you learn it? How was that?
He was a really nice guy to work with. Him himself. He's a lot. He's running the whole set the whole time. So the production company that does BBQ Brawl is Bobby Flay's production company. He's not hired to come on. It's Rock Shrimp, which is his production company that helped build Food Network to what it is now. So he gets to do whatever he wants. He was one of the first guys to actually get Food Network even off the ground to make it popular like it is now, with some of his shows and stuff he was doing back then. So he, like you said, he gets to do whatever he wants. And the Food Network guys are kind of like, okay, sounds good, Bobby. so yeah. But he runs that whole set, so it's hard to talk to him. But whenever he was over with us and talking to us, he was very supportive, very much so, giving us pointers on what we're doing and stuff. He wanted his team to win, so without making the show bad by making us win by doing some kind of cheating, then he made it pretty fair. But it is not the same. It is not the show isn't what you think it is whenever you're going into like a barbecue competition. It's chef driven. It's more like people
Yeah.
are getting kicked off and voted off because they're the weakest in the hollandaise sauce or something like that. So then now all of a sudden they're up for elimination because they couldn't get a brisket done in 6 hours and their hollandaise sauce sucked. So it was real wild. They were trying to get us to cook whole briskets in 7 hours and judging them on it. And I made sausage in the heat outside and then grilled it over direct heat instead of on like a slow smoker or something. Uh, there was a bunch of weird stuff as far as like their cutting, the way that they cut stuff up. That was kind of weird. You go in these interviews and you'd talk and you'd be on set and you'd say a joke and nobody laughs at the joke. But then, whenever the show comes out, they say the joke and the judges, which weren't even on set, are cracking up. Bobby Flay, which was in his trailers, cracking up. Everybody on our team's cracking up. Yeah, and you're just like, okay, I see what this is. So they pick their favorites. They start having like leading questions for you. But we also did ours in the middle of COVID.
Oh yeah.
So where we had we weren't allowed to talk to each other. We weren't allowed to leave our rooms at times. It was pretty wild.
So you
It was
were in
fun.
LA.
It was a lot of fun.
You were in LA whenever that show came. Where was the show at?
They did it in Bee Cave, which is down by Austin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's like this old. They film a bunch of like old westerns and stuff at this place. It's called Star Hill Ranch, and that's where we did it at. And that's where most of them were at. That same location. It's just like a wedding venue that they've turned into like an old western set.
Sam can cook a brisket in 3 hours.
We like to mess with Sam because he likes to cook hot. And when I say hot, Sam cooks hot.
I might have done a flat in 3 hours.
Damn. Yeah, see, everybody, traditional Texas barbecue, 200, 220, you're going till that bitch is done. And then you started getting the Aaron Franklin stuff where he's cooking at like 250, 275 to finish his briskets, which is like, decently hot, but it's not hot. And then you got John Mueller, which he's passed away too. But he used to cook those buggers at like 350, 375. Yeah, and he'd get them done. He'd get them done so fucking fast. Great bark, everything rendered out, but there's nobody. Like when you're cooking that hot, the window to pull and the rest is so fucking small. It's nearly, it's cooking that hot. You've probably got like a 3-minute window that you have to recognize for that brisket to be done. When it is compared to cooking at 275.
Right.
250, 275 towards the end, you can, there's like 10, 15 minutes to where you might be able to pull that brisket. It's still fine if you rest it or burp it or whatever the right way. But there's no room. There's no room for any kind of mess ups cooking that hot. Whenever you said you cook pretty hot, how hot do you cook? Kyle.
I
Kyle, right?
Sam.
300, 350.
Same. 350?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking, you got some balls. Yeah, I'm scared.
He's cooking
I'll be
over
like-
direct heat.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm cooking on a can.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's cool. See, that's some stuff I'd like to learn how to do. I'd like to do a little bit more of that. I'm great on offset smoke. I can do anything. And then now, like, I can really reverse, sear anything, do the smoker
Right.
and then high heat afterwards. All that stuff is great. But when I want to get to cook some of those long cooks on something that's more direct heat is tough. I got into cooking. I did Hogs for the Cause with a couple guys and got into doing some of the hog stuff. And that was a different story, got to where I knew how to cook some of those, not like the best in the world or anything, but like I got to cook with some really good guys and cooking over that direct heat, man, it's a different animal. For when you're cooking that long, it's crazy.
And if you're on Facebook, you need to go to Ugly Drum Smokers, Texas,
Okay.
and go look at some of Stephen Powell's videos. I was at his house in Weatherford, and we put on probably a 16-pound brisket. And I'm over here watching the pit. It's just lit, and it's still going, lit off. I'm starting to see flames come out the top. He says, "Hey, put that grate in. We're going to put this brisket on."
No way.
And I mean, we just pegged out this needle. It's just, I'm watching it 500, 550. We're out of freaking needle, Steven. I mean, it's just wrapping back around. And by the time I got from Weatherford, I sat there for probably an hour and then drove from Weatherford to Plainview. And he sent me a video of him slicing that brisket.
Damn. It's got. I mean, there's no way the texture is the same.
No.
No. Cutting real thin,
Hey,
like paper thin on it. And then, like, you couldn't cook. So, what do y'all think about maybe? So, if you're cooking like that, and Sam, this is you. This is your answer right here. You're cooking hot like that. Would you rather cook something that's a little bit lower grade of meat so
I,
you're not having that rubbery, unrendered fat of like a wagyu or like a high prime or something?
Mm.
So,
I've
would you
only
maybe
done it
want to
once,
cook?
and I won't do it again.
Yeah.
It,
That's
no.
cool. That's a fun experiment to do. I like doing stuff like that. Um, was Frank Cox sent me a super 55-gallon smoker last year, and I've done some like ribs and some chicken and stuff on it. I'm too much of a bitch to do brisket on it, so we'll get there.
Yeah, that's a nice pit.
Yeah.
Those are pretty nice. I've seen those.
Yeah, yeah, they're really cool. I've got that one. I've got John Reeves got me GMG Trek. He sent me one of those. I've always said I'm not touching a fucking smoker that has the pellet grill on it, but I don't have a restaurant anymore. It's fine. I want to learn how to cook on everything. They're really cool. So I got that, and I've got a Workhorse 1975, which that bitch is like 900 pounds.
Damn.
Yeah, and I've got a primitive 500 on a trailer.
Nice,
Oh.
nice. Yeah, those primitives are pretty sweet. Is that what you had at Smiley's? Or
Yeah, I had two primitive 1000s, and I had a 250 that I did like ribs and stuff on a turkey.
yeah, those are some beautiful pits, man. They're freaking works of art. I looked at them.
Yeah, they do. They do. There's like some other smoker builders that might pay a little bit more attention to maybe like the hand or the like the hinges and all that, making them real pretty. Like the syntax, they're real pretty.
Damn right.
Uh, yeah, I mean, but as far as like the way that they run and the like how even they are across, as soon as if it might be a little bit uneven on that 1,000-gallon until you get that bitch up to 250, and then it tries to stay at 250. It's hard to even change it around from there. So that thing Cadillacs as soon as it gets up there, and they're on the semi-insulated fireboxes too that I've normally used with them. Those fully
Nice.
insulated fireboxes, like the ones that I was at Vaqueros, and the ones we had at like La Barbecue with the Austin Smokeworks, those 1,000-gallon ones, those things you can put, what I would have to put six sticks in for, my 1,000-gallon, my primitive. You can only put 3 in and have the same temp and have it run longer for one of those backlines or those fully insulated with the Austin Smokeworks.
Yeah, I looked at those Austin Smokeworks also, and I saw the price on one, and I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, they're up there. I remember me and Dylan Taylor, we really wanted to do some like festivals and stuff, and Leanne didn't want us to do festivals because we didn't have a pit that was mobile, and the one that was mobile, it was like it wasn't reliable to stay together while we were taking it down the road. So she bought another pit, and from Austin Smokeworks, and it was the first 1,000-gallon one that they did that was slammed down on double axle trailer. It wasn't just on skids. It had that Texas breakaway, so the stack wasn't 16 foot in the air, and that was just $26,000.
Yeah.
That was back
Yeah.
then. That's before all these other pit makers started smoking up or popping up and like driving the prices down.
Yeah.
Well, I think when I got one quoted, I think just their standard one on the trailer was like 23, 24.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So they're up there.
I'm telling you, it's probably the best running smoker in all of barbecue. And I've got so many. I'm friends with Sonny. I'm friends with all the guys that build all these different smokers, and the Smokeworks. They're worth the money. They really are. And they were the first ones to do it. Those were built conceptualized in the driveway of John Lewis. And he's read 1,000 thermodynamics books. He's the biggest dork in the world when it comes to thermodynamics and the way stuff works, and he finally worked it to where it works right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Have you cooked on one? I mean, you have, right?
Yeah. That's where I started my career, was starting to cook on an Austin Smokeworks. So I had it easy. And then I started cooking on all these other smokers and was like, oh, you've got to manage the fire differently. A lot differently. Not all smokers are the same.
No.
Definitely.
That's what the fun thing about barbecue is you can call yourself a pitmaster all day. If somebody can call you a pitmaster, you can say it, but really, when it comes down to it, you're mastering your pit. And that's what makes you the pitmaster. Now, all of a sudden, you go and jump on something you're not comfortable with. You ain't the fucking pitmaster anymore. You can go and help and go cut some onions or something. But yeah, you've got to learn. You've got to earn your spot and do your
Right.
time with that smoker before you can call yourself a pitmaster of that smoker. You know, it's not just that's my profession. I'm a pitmaster. No, there's certain equipment that I can call myself an absolute expert on, and there's certain stuff that I need some help.
Right. So
Yeah.
burn some fucking weenies up on one of them or something, you know?
Yeah, I've done plenty of that.
Yeah.
So, Sturge is about to start a food truck. You got any advice for him?
Yeah, man. Just start slow, like for real. I
Yeah.
mean, you're gonna get the big pops, you're gonna get all that stuff, but like, don't try and keep on going off and reinvest the money right away into like more equipment and growing all this. Like, get a good. You got to teach especially in Odessa, something like that. They're looking for $5 chopped brisket sandwiches, right? That's what they're not pulling off the highway for craft barbecue. They're pulling off the highway because it's lunchtime.
Right.
So you've got to trick them into saying that you want to have this highest quality barbecue around while you're still trying to make some money. So there's a happy medium of what you have to give up as far as your wants and your artistry as a pitmaster. You have to give some of that up to be able to run your business correctly. Not completely, and I don't want to like take your heart out of it, because you do put your whole heart into everything you do while you're there. But just remember, your taste isn't what exactly the taste of the community is going to flock to. So that's what you've got to do. Something that's broad enough that might not be your specific thing that you like to cook whenever you're at your house and you do your briskets at your competitions and all that. That might be too complicated for what the community wants, and that's like the biggest thing that you can say. You have to teach your community what you are and not force it down their throat. You have to have some humility about it. You have to be willing to change some of your stuff up. For instance, like what I did, there's traditionally you go to a barbecue restaurant, you get your 2 meat, 3 meat plate, right? But you go to Austin, they're not, you say you want a 2 meat plate, they're like, hey, this is a la carte, it's meat market style. You tell me how much you want, and I put on a scale, I cut it, put on a scale, and give it to you. Some of these small towns, you can't get away with doing meat market style. They won't allow it. They will not come to you. They will bitch. They will write bad reviews. They will tell all their friends not to come to you. They will stay home and cook instead. So you have to learn what they want. And a lot of times they're going to want something they're used to, something they grew up on. So serve the spuds, even though it's the easiest thing to do, and it's with chopped brisket and they're not tasting your full brisket. Serve those. Serve the make stuff out of your leftovers that you can charge a little bit more money on. Make these specials out of your fatty part of your brisket that you cut off because it's going to char up because it's got points and stuff on it. Just be creative with your menu.
Yeah, that was the plan. I mean, it's hard trying to figure that out when you've never done it before, right? So
yeah,
I'm just trying to keep everything simple right now and throw it at them and see what's going to happen with it. But we'll see what happens. It's coming up here pretty quick, man.
Do you know Tyler's Barbecue up in Amarillo? Tyler Frazier?
No.
He won, it was like 2012, but he's been a big mentor to me. He's got Tyler's Barbecue. They've been on the Texas Monthly Top 50 since like 2014. They're even probably 2012. They're fucking best barbecue in Amarillo. He won Businessman of the Year for 72 Texas counties, Panhandle and West Texas, in 2012. Wow. And he can help you on your ordering, on your labor, on all the different ins and outs. Like, he's not even like advertising that he does consultings, and I don't even know how much of it he does, but as far as like a resource and somebody that you can reach out to, there's so many folks that are like, I mean, I do it as a living and I go and teach people consulting. I'd love any questions you have. But as far as like starting up in like a West Texas or like a panhandle town, whenever you're going to have to teach the community what you're trying to do, what you're trying to bring the barbecue from this level, which there's nothing in Odessa for the most part, right? Maybe one or two, that you're trying to elevate it and show them what barbecue can be, but without being pretentious about it. They don't want you, nobody, you know how everybody's ego is. You still need to be able to compliment their backyard barbecue and thank them for coming in and trying yours, even though you know that they're a backyard jabroni. They can't cook like you, but you still entertain it. You talk, you show them around the pit, you let them tell you about your stuff, and you win them over that way. And then they'll be honest with you about what you're you create those loyal customers. They'll be honest with you about what you've done wrong, or hey, you're changing stuff up too much, or hey, where'd that corn go you had on the menu 3 weeks ago? They'll just listen to them and start real slow. And I'd love to get you in contact with anybody that you have any questions on, including
Yeah.
myself and a bunch of the other folks.
Yeah, for sure, man. That'll be awesome. Like I said, it's been about 2 years in the making, and it's like the last steps. I'm at the last steps right now. We're getting the all my permits and all that stuff. So it's gonna happen here pretty quick, man, for sure.
So have you got your trailers completely built out? You have it.
So they're actually working on it this week. It should be done by Friday. We should be picking it up on Friday, and then I gotta get with the fire marshals and do all that shit. So, but I had the dude that I took it to. He makes them here locally. So he said he has a real good relationship with the fire marshal. He said, "Don't worry about any of the permits or any of that stuff." I said, "You should be. We'll be golden with that. It's just it's just scary. You know what I mean? It's all the money that's already invested into it, and now I got to do it. You know what I mean? And it's just me. So
yeah. Well, and just know that's where a lot of people start. It's them and their wife or girlfriend when they can, come help, or their friend every couple of days. That's just how it goes. And you're going to be cooking, waking up at midnight to cook, or get up there at 4 a.m. to get the fire started, to get stuff going. You have to find a way to hold your brisket overnight, so you're not cooking brisket, getting the brisket off, going straight into rib cook, and then getting that off, and then going straight into service. Then serving all day. You're never going to sleep. You're going to work yourself sick. I've done it. So you're going to have to set a schedule on your proteins and have the proper equipment to hold some of these proteins after you get done cooking them up to 10, 20 hours.
Yeah. That proofing cabinet's the best thing I've ever bought, dude. That thing will hold. That thing will hold however long I wanted to hold. So
you put it at 143, 144.
Yeah.
Man, and I'm telling you, your brisket will be better after 12 hours of sitting in that dish.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what I've been learning. I've been doing a lot more briskets, but I've been holding them a lot longer. And man, they're coming out, dude, ridiculous. I mean,
but your photos look amazing. I can't wait to try some of it.
Yeah, they're coming out really good. So
I don't know, man. That's solid advice from him, bro. But honestly, you also take another piece of advice from, like you said, what he was talking about earlier. You get your little pistol right there, bro. Your shirt off and shit.
Oh yeah, with my shirt off.
Upsell, baby.
Yeah, I don't even know what happened to that picture while my shirt was off, but it was crazy times that when we had fun there.
Yeah. What's your favorite brisket to cook as far as brand, or you don't care? You're just cooking whatever. What did you prefer?
Yeah, I'm not gonna go for just one brand or the other. I always really like the Creek Stones. I really have, and then those 44 Farms are great. They're fucking awesome. They're just so small. So if I'm cooking just for my family, I'll get me a 44 Farms or something. But like for the most part, I'm going to Sam's Club and asking for their prime, and just picking through what they have. I've gone through all the different ones, and 1855 has a good brisket. Snake River Farms has a good brisket, but that's a Wagyu. You're gonna get, that's expensive as hell. Hartley, like some of these briskets that they're calling upper 2/3 choice, that are like all natural, no hormones, all that hippie stuff. You can actually taste the beef a little bit more. So there's a science behind it. And if you're paying, so the upper 2/3 choice thing, if you're buying cases of brisket and you can get something from like a decently small farm that does no antibiotics and all that stuff, such as like a Hartley Ranch. And Hartley Ranch, you're saying, hey, I want upper 2/3 choice. So they're sending you cases of brisket that normally average about 75 pounds. There's 4 briskets, sometimes 5 inside of there on each one of them, and you're getting them for choice prices. But since it's an upper 2/3 choice, you're getting some primes on there too. You just find little deals like that. And Raider Red Meat is starting to do some more stuff with their brisket program to try and yield a higher marbled brisket for out there. I'm working with Hassel Cattle Co. They're out of Rust, Texas over here. They do a lot of really good stuff. I haven't cooked any of their brisket, but like their Thor's hammer and all their steaks and all that stuff is great. But I would get with like, do y'all have? Is it who does the majority? Have you already done your research on like purveyors and stuff that you're going to use as far as like Cisco, Benny
Yeah,
Keith?
so I'll be using Benny Keith, and I'm able to get their 1855s upper 2/3 are pretty decent price right now,
Yeah.
and they're the 1/8. I think they're the 118 trim, so there's a little bit of trimming that's going to go into it, but I mean their prices are decent on it. So I
Yeah.
think starting off, I'll probably do that. I did go to one of our specialty meat markets here, and I cooked the certified Hereford this weekend, and man, that's a damn good brisket too. But it's a little bit higher. I mean, as far as price,
Yeah, the
might as well
Herefords.
just get a prime.
Yeah, I always had issues with whenever my purveyors tried to switch me over with Hereford. I would like their sample, and then I'd start cooking them, and then I'd just be like, "This is not worth it," and they're not as consistent. It might have been just the Hereford I was getting, but I've always liked Angus over. I mean, you can even, in my opinion, I'm getting some even better stuff from IBP and Swift. You know that,
Right.
and those are still even fine to get. They're just inconsistent in size
Yeah.
and trim spec and stuff. You know, there's always big gashes and stuff because of how highly processed or how many hands touch it through the processing part.
Have you cooked one of these Miller meat briskets, Brendan?
No,
you
I
seen
haven't. I haven't. No,
Oh, man.
Yeah, you need to take a look at those for
Midland meat.
sure. Yeah,
Oh,
Miller
yeah.
meat.
I'd love to, man. That's the thing, you know. And if they're getting are they raising their cows and out
Yeah.
in West Texas
Yeah.
too? So
Yeah,
that's the big part of it. You know, I've used some of those. The only other, you know, besides 44 Farms and Hartley Ranch that I've used in Texas that have been straight up Texas stuff has been yeah, I just left my head. I'm sorry. I don't know how that
you're
happened.
good.
Castle.
Yeah, I haven't cooked their briskets though. Dang it. It'll come back to me in a minute. I had it and took my tongue.
So a lot of restaurants have switched to cooking just choice briskets, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, especially right now, whenever brisket prices are nearly up to like COVID prices right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, choice is the way to go. And if you're cooking them at 250, 275, you can still get a really nice brisket out of that. Rosewood. I got rosewood blocks. Make the cutting boards.
Now that rosewood is Wagyu.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't got to mess with it yet. Man, who the hell was it? 44 Farms, Hartley Ranch, Texas.
Yep, we got Heartbrand too.
Bosky, 4 6s.
What's
4
the name of
6s
it?
ranch.
4 6.
The Taylor Sheridan
Oh, yeah,
4
yeah.
6s.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
what they
I've actually
exclusively
seen
use
those.
those. Those are really nice. Those are,
Nice.
but I think Hurtado has a stranglehold on them.
Yeah, as much as they're cooking. Shit.
Oh man, he's cooking like crazy. Whenever I was at La Barbecue down in Austin, Franklin was cooking so many Creekstone that he had a stranglehold to where no other barbecue restaurant within like 150-mile radius is allowed to use Creekstone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to my distributor about the Creekstone, and he says, "Man, we can't get them. So we can't get them out this way." So
Wow.
They're expensive, bro.
Yeah,
they're
Yeah.
Wagyu prices at this point.
Yeah. Thanks,
Really?
Aaron.
Yeah, no kidding.
Anthony, did you do a Miller meat this weekend?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, definitely.
Well,
Like butter.
What do you got, Sam?
Man, so Brennan, we do something. I'm gonna change it up a little bit on you. So normally we call it the dream team. So you get 4 people that you want on your team to go cook, but and you get an honorable mention. So it's kind of like your Mount Rushmore, and then somebody that didn't quite make it.
Oh
So
man.
let's change it up a little bit, and let's do your top 4 restaurants or barbecue joints and an honorable mention.
You'll get me in trouble. That'd get me in a lot of trouble.
Or you can do, the 4 people that have helped you in barbecue that you want to cook with, man. Whichever direction you want to take.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm Go ahead.
probably going to have a list longer than 4, but I'll do my best to stay inside there for that. Really, really, Aura Melkin from Harlem Road
Yeah.
Barbecue. He's been such a really really good mentor, and the dude is so knowledgeable in everything. Me and him did a master class to where we went to go film for the Pitmaster Collective, and he put 6 different proteins, everything from a 27-pound rib roast, bone-in rib roast, to like a 30-pound suckling Iberica pig hog. He put soft shell crab. He put beef plate ribs. He put all. It all got done within 6 hours on open flame, and all within 5 minutes of each other.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So Aura is like this crazy wealth of knowledge. I don't know if y'all know about him. He used to run
For sure.
like a bunch of Wolfgang Puck's restaurants in the
Mhm.
U.S. Yeah, I met him on BBQ Brawl. He's been somebody I talked to consistently ever since. I'm not going to say number 2, but just another one of the guys that's really helped me out and that I talk to all the time is the sausage sensei, Bill Dumas. We
Okay.
talk 2 or 3 times a week. I've gone to Mexico with him. I've set up stuff where he goes to other places. Me and him have done classes together. There's plenty of people out there that make great sausage, but nobody that has this character and this view on it that he does. And in my opinion, if like you call yourself a pitmaster in one of these craft barbecue restaurants, if you're not making your own sausage,
Yep.
you're missing out on something. And you don't have to make your own sausage to be able to succeed, but to be one of those top ones that people are going to go out of their way to, it's going to have to be something that you're turning a Reuben sandwich into a sausage, or you're turning a peach cobbler into a sausage, and not missing a beat at all to where you can't taste it. It's not a try hard. It's not a gimmicky thing. Whenever he has one of these sausages that y'all see are kind of off the wall, he'll do an in and out meal, and whenever you bite into it, it tastes like you're taking a bite of the burger all the way down to texture, and then like
That's
having some
crazy.
French fries on there with it. It's the same with he's a wizard. He's an absolute wizard. So there's another one of the
Wow.
guys, and then he hasn't cooked in a while, in a really long time, but Dylan Taylor is by far one of the best and most knowledgeable guys whenever it comes to brisket and his take on brisket. And he's the one that taught me most of the stuff I know whenever I was at La Barbecue. And he also helped open up Goldie's. Me and him don't talk really much anymore, not for any reason other than he's a ranch hand over in Colorado and doesn't have time for any kind of social media stuff anymore. But that dude is like, the stuff that I learned from him was insane. Who else could? So, all right, there's some smaller guys up here that just knock stuff out of the park. Like they're still running, out of like a trailer, and they've been doing it for 4 years or so now, and they're just doing top-notch barbecue out of their trailer and they've kept on getting better over and over and over, and kept on coming. Whenever I had Smiley's, he would come over to Smiley's all the time, and we would talk shit, and he was just not getting stuff going. But Derek Durganhart from North Texas Smoke, it's in Decatur, Texas.
Okay.
There's not one thing on his menu misses. There's not one thing, and I can call him and talk to him about anything at any damn time, really any time. So he started after me, and he's still one of the guys I'll call and talk to about this stuff to work some stuff out. Who else do we got? I mean, I mentioned some of like the OGs, like Saul and Ernest, which I'd love to have on my team. I really would. I'd love to have those guys on my team. There's nothing I wouldn't do. That anything that I do with them, you'd win. But I kind of feel like they're the old school names. I want to bring some new names to this so y'all can hear about some of these. But have you ever heard of Jason Gonzalez of Gonzo's Smokehouse down
Yeah,
in Lillian, Louisiana?
I think I've heard Gonzo's. So
Yeah, he does a bunch of
somewhere online.
he kind of came into the game doing a bunch of stuff with mill scale, and they
Okay.
started bringing him out a bunch, and so through that I brought him out to my festival that I had for a while, called for the Love of Barbecue Festival in Roanoke, and we became buddies off that. And then whenever I was, I do roofing and contracting too, So when the hurricanes and stuff hit down in Louisiana, I go down there and do roofs and whatnot, and I'll go and hang out with him or good old James Cruz or some of those
James.
Brad Orson from the Shed,
Shed.
some of those guys. But Brad is also he helped me whenever I first started the restaurant Smiley's. I didn't have any equipment or really have any money to put it together. And we don't come from money at all, so it's like I couldn't ask my family for a bunch of money to do all that either. So I called Brad, and Brad had 20 acres out at the Shed that has stuff from all these auctions and all this. He goes, look, I'll tell you right now, if you get a 20-foot flatbed and you drive your ass from Dallas out here to Ocean Springs, Mississippi, he goes, I'll put more on your trailer than your trailer can handle for you to have a barbecue restaurant when you get back. So I did.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
me and
Hell yeah,
me
man.
and I went out there and he hooked me up with warmers, and stainless steel tables, pots, pans, like all sorts of shit. He's just a legend of a guy. So anything time I can ever work with him, I always like working with him. And then somebody I know, there's a couple other that I could mention, but one that I've recently really like fell in love with as a person is Kareem from KG Barbecue in Austin, the one that does the Egyptian barbecues. He had a cowboy
Oh yeah,
hat.
yeah.
He does
Oh,
lamb. He did that. It was with Joe
Yeah.
Rogan, and
Yeah.
he goes on "Fuck That's Delicious" with that was his Action Bronson or whatever.
Yep.
He was
Matty
on a
Madison
show
won.
not too long ago. He was on the Netflix one, wasn't he?
Barbecue Showdown. Yeah.
Showdown.
The Showdown. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
on Showdown. Yeah.
Yeah, that dude is the absolute salt of the earth. I'm telling you, as far as humble for what the amount of attention he's gotten, and then a James Beard nomination and all that different stuff that he just now had, or not. I don't know if I think it was Michelin Bib Gourmand, like a recommendation, and he saw all of us doing this thing in Austin and thought it was cool. He came to visit from Cairo and was like, holy shit, this is awesome. And he moved over here, opened a restaurant, and now he's gonna get top 10 whenever this comes out. There's
Wow.
no way he
Hell
doesn't.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's got some badass food too, man.
Yeah,
That's
now that takes balls, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and then to come in and then add something in to Central Texas barbecue that other restaurants are now trying to put on their menu as a staple, which is lamb.
Yeah.
Nobody did that before. Nobody did that. That was kind of like the North Texas pork belly burnt in. You got your Kansas City burnt ends and all those with brisket, and in Texas we like to say we don't burn our briskets, so we're not going to do burnt ends. But then this pork belly thing came out with Heim Barbecue doing their pork belly burnt ends, Meat Church doing his pork belly burnt end off that, and then Dane's Barbecue really stepping it up with that. Oh man, I forgot. John Bates from Interstellar. He got to be on my team too.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's the best damn pork belly in the world. But yeah, that was the thing. Like, so there's to have something that's so good at your restaurant that the rest of the restaurants in the community are like, let me see if I can figure that out. Like that happened with hurtado and quail. Not many people were serving quail. I was like, hey man, you mind if I
You lose him?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's all my people. I could probably name for hours all the people that I'd won on an all-star team, but half of them, I guess, at this point are going to be sitting on the bench.
Yeah. No, dude. I mean, as much as you've been around, like I said, it's your list can go on and on. I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's some folks even out of the country. They're down in Mexico that are like Luis Rivas, down in Leonardes, Mexico, which is like an hour and a half south of Monterrey. He's the Aaron Franklin of Mexico, and his food is just as good as any place that I had in Austin. And I'm out in this little bitty town in Mexico called Linares. And yeah, we went out there. Me and Bill Dumas and Smoking Willie T went out there.
Yeah.
And
Smoking
did
Willie.
that one, and then do y'all know Smoking Willie T?
Yeah, I've seen him on the show and I have him on Facebook and stuff. And
Yeah,
he
he's a fun
seems
guy.
like a
Yeah,
pretty cool
definitely.
dude. Yeah, for sure.
He's good pair of hands anytime you need some help with anything too.
Yeah, he's all about it. He's all about barbecue. So
You know who that guy was? Junior Urias?
Where at? Yeah, I know Junior.
yeah,
What's up?
out of
Did
early.
he just now say something?
No.
Yeah. Oh, hey.
No, that's Manuel saying he thinks Junior Arias put pork belly
Oh
on
no,
the
you're
map in
right.
Texas.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right on that. I'll give you that. No, you're right. But I'm talking about as far as these like the Texas Monthly,
Mhm.
craft barbecue guys is getting all over, New York Times and all that. That's what I'm talking about. But there's definitely people that did pork belly and whatnot in Texas before these guys that I'm mentioning right now. They're just maybe got a little bit more hype behind it because of their media
Yeah.
presence.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, Up in Smoke
Up in
barbecue.
Smoke, man, it's legendary. Up in Smoke is legendary. Junior's legendary.
Yeah, for sure. I was able to go there one time, man, and I'm like, I told Junior, I was like, dude, that's the best fucking brisket I've ever had
Yeah,
to this
yeah.
day. So
Yeah, no, absolutely kills it.
well, cool, man. We're at hour and 30 now. So my last question for you, Brendan, is where do you think the state of Texas barbecue's at this day and age in 2025? Like, where you think it's? How can I put this? Help me out, Kyle. What do you think?
I don't know if you're asking like compared to the rest of the country, or like how people are looking at barbecue.
Like how people are looking at Texas barbecue these days, and where's the state? Where's it at right now as far as Texas barbecue
Okay,
goes?
yeah. So, like as far as my opinion on where Texas barbecue is, like I said a little bit ago, like brisket has kind of peaked. Yeah, everybody and their mama can cook an amazing brisket, right? So it's all about this new chef style that's come in to try and elevate barbecue to the next level and take basic barbecue, which we all grew up on and know and love, and even basic barbecue from like the start of this little renaissance of Aaron Franklin style craft barbecue, has now taken up to like the Ernest Civentes, and you've got the folks, the Leroy and Lewis, all these people, the Interstellars, the ones that are taking it to the next level up. That's absolutely amazing. I think that we're still seen around the world though as the traditional barbecue. So as far as internally, I think that we're bringing this to this next level that the rest of the world hasn't caught up to yet. But as far as the world view, um, I've gone to 28 states in 9 different countries teaching Texas barbecue, and not one of them is trying to learn old school Texas barbecue. Every single one of them wants to know how they do it in Austin. So that's how it is seen now. It's not seen as brisket and a bunch of longhorns and everything that everybody saw. When they think about barbecue, they're thinking about Austin, Texas now. And that's everywhere from Norway, Japan, Russia, Greece. Every single place is trying to. They've all got Aaron Franklin's book, and they're gunning for what we're doing here. Same in the rest of the country. All these barbecue restaurants that are popping up in South Carolina, they're imitating Texas barbecue now. They're not doing Carolina barbecue. They're not doing
Yeah.
Georgia barbecue. They're trying to do what we're doing in Central Texas.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
So,
Team Going has a good question. He says, "What state has the best barbecue, and what state has the worst?"
well, Texas is the best barbecue. Because and I say that not just from like an ego and as a Texan, proud Texan moment. Yeah, I got my Texas. I'm always going to say Texas is on top, but just try to step back from an unbiased standpoint, just from my previous statement, Texas is the leader, and not only in our own heads, but from a world view on barbecue. They want to do what we are doing here, what has come natural to us all since we were kids. Messing with fire, cooking meats, being dirty outside. They're all just now catching on to it. And even the places such as Georgia and all these other kinds of barbecue that have been around longer than Texas barbecue, they're bending their ways to start trying to be more like Texas.
Well,
Well,
man,
I had
that's
New
awesome.
Mexico at number 1, but to each their own.
Hey, I love New Mexico's great, and the best thing about it is you're able to stand out there big time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've always told him that.
I'll
So
come up with an
Yeah,
all
man.
substance infused brisket, and I'll change the game. You never know, man.
Bro, yes, yeah.
So, what's
I've
the
been. I
worst
know.
in your opinion? I guess is what they're trying to say.
Oh
New
man, I
Mexico.
knew y'all going. I thought I was going to get away. I thought I was going to get away from that question. Because I haven't had barbecue in Maine yet. I
there
mean,
you
I
go.
haven't been to New Hampshire and had barbecue.
Smoked lobster.
Yeah, I mean, no places in Vermont have really stuck out to me that I've seen, but I could be missing stuff. I'm not going to completely knock it, but I can't. So any state that doesn't have part of their history and their ethos of their state, which Texas will just speak for that. The ethos of the state is cowboys, barbecue, and guns.
Yeah.
Like so we're going to be something along those lines. None of these other states have like barbecue and live meat and being self-sufficient and stuff inside their ethos. Besides some of these other southern states, but it's not barbecue. It's not brisket. It's not. Texas has the most well-rounded. You've got people that cook amazing whole hog. You've got people that cook amazing brisket. You got people that do amazing chef-driven, elevated barbecue stuff. So I think it's very well-rounded. And then you've got places like Houston that you have this new Viet Cajun barbecue thing that's going on because of the Viet and the Laos communities that are down there starting to like. I mean, you've got Koi barbecue that's Korean barbecue, but it's done Central Texas style.
Wow.
And
that's crazy.
So that's the cool part about the melting pot of Texas. I mean, the whole country's a melting pot, but Texas especially, you're getting all these different cultures from like Mexican to German to the the black culture all the way to now you got Asian infused, and you've got it's coming Greek. There's some Greek barbecue places that are using Greek food and starting to bring lamb, like KG barbecue. Texas is it's hands down, man. You can't.
Oh, man, that's awesome, dude.
You write a book on barbecue, you come to Texas.
That was awesome.
And New Mexico.
Well, he's on the border. He's on the border, dude. He's between Seminole. He's like right there. So
Still New Mexico, baby. Born and raised Roswell, man. Come on, man.
Yeah,
Roswell,
I used to have
New
family in
Mexico.
Clovis. I love New Mexico.
Oh yeah.
Well, cool, Brendan. Man, I don't want to keep you up anymore. Or we're at an hour and 30. I know you got some stuff going on, and man, I appreciate you coming on, dude. That was awesome show. A lot of information and
seriously, a lot of knowledge, man.
A lot of knowledge.
Man, thank y'all for having me, man. It's been a lot of fun, and it's been a while since I've done a podcast. It's been about 8 months or so since I've done one, so this is good. Thank y'all so much.
Yeah. Talk about before I let you go. Talk about the Blam show. Were you gonna get that going again or something, or what? What are you thinking?
Yeah. So right now I'm doing these. I'm trying to focus on putting together a bunch of these courses. So $60 course on how to do a brisket in your backyard. All these little deals. So as soon as that's up, I'm gonna go and get the studio equipment out of the storage and start putting the B-Land show back together. So maybe we put something together. But it was a kind of I was trying to do with Blam show, which I've already done with this, which is have these conversations with these legendary pitmasters that are moving and grooving all the time. So I mean, you've got the spot filled for that. I'll just come on your show anytime instead of having to run my
Anytime, dude. Anytime, dude. You're always welcome, man. So for sure.
Well, thank y'all. Anytime you want me on, just holler at me. I'll jump on.
Cool, Brandon. I appreciate it, man.
Yep.
We'll catch up with you in a little bit.
Later.
Thanks, Brandon.
Man, that was awesome.
That dude's cool as hell.
That was great.
What did Donnie
Dude, so
say?
much knowledge. Good. That's our report. That's all they count, Texas. I'd say so, son. Hell yeah.
Thanks, Manuel.
Appreciate it, Manuel.
No, man. Thanks for watching, man. Appreciate it, bro. Good support, man.
Yep. Well, cool. Man, that was an awesome show. What do we got for next week? I don't even know. Sam?
Next week we got old G-Wall with Jokers and Smokers.
Oh, yeah. No, that's going to be a good one.
Hell yeah.
So that'll be another good one.
Bring Micah in. We'll bring Micah in.
Yep.
I know he's been chomping at the bit for a little bit, so that'd be awesome.
How far are we booked out right now?
Till the 6th.
Nice.
Not the 6th. Do the first week of June, second week of June. Yeah, first week of June. Shit, I don't know. Hold on.
6-9. We got somebody booked.
Yes.
6-9.
Yeah, through 6-9.
Nice.
Yep. So we got a pretty good lineup coming up.
Yes, sir.
Right on, brothers.
Cool, man.
Yep.
Anything else y'all want to bring up? We're going to call this or what?
Think we're ready to call it.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
balls about
Cool.
the bus, bro. So,
Well-
yeah.
Well, thanks for everybody coming on, and man, we'll do it again next week.
You bet.
Hell
Episode
yeah.
Thanks a
40.
lot, guys.
Go, man. Thanks.
This is Parrish Randall, and this concludes this episode of Beyond the Smoke. Thanks for stopping by, friend. We hope to see you again real soon. Until next time, happy trails. Until we talk meat again.